What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Scene Snobs podcast. I am your host, Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob. I'm joined today by actor, writer, director, producer, a man of many hats, Blayne Weaver, whose two latest movies are now out. Santa Girls on Netflix and Cut to the Chase is available on Prime. Blayne, how are you today?
Very good. Thank you for that's a great introduction. I like the hyphenate introduction. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, man. Just to tell you, I've kind of submersed myself into your movies over the last week, starting with Cut to the Chase. And man, I gotta tell you, like I said, man, I might be president of your fan club soon.
That's so cool. I really appreciate you researching and checking out the other films. That's awesome.
Absolutely, my kids and I just watched Santa Girl the other day, and they loved it. I loved it too, but it was definitely nice.
They're more the target demographic, I think. But
yeah,
I appreciate it.
They loved the idea of Fit Santa and Barry Bostwick.
Yeah. Well, he cut the carbs and watches out for the sugar. And
Absolutely. Hey, so to kind of get started, I want to kind of get your background, if I could. I know I was reading up on you a little bit, and I know you've gotten a lot of schooling, and you graduated from UCLA, right, with an English degree?
I sure did, and a minor in political science. It was basically I've got a weird story, but I'm from Bossier City, Louisiana, which is North Louisiana. And when I was there about 5, I started doing children's theater. And I did children's/regional theater from about the age of 5 to 17. And 17, I started working professionally, and I got to do a couple of really big jobs. Like my first job was a TV movie about cowboys that Tommy Lee Jones directed. And I played Matt Damon's little brother and Frances McDormand's son. It was like this amazing, first legit experience, right? But I was on that set, and Tommy Lee Jones directed it and starred in it. And I loved that. I thought that was really cool. And Matt Damon was writing Good Will Hunting at the time and let me read an early copy of it, And I'm like, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to do what Tommy Lee's doing. I want to do what Matt's doing. So then from there, I moved to Los Angeles, and I started first of all, I went to acting school in New York for a short time, and I didn't really like the fact that nobody knew anything about anything other than acting at the acting school. Mm-hmm. I wanted a broader experience, mostly because of that cowboy movie I did, where I was hanging out with these incredibly smart, well-rounded artists, and I'm like, I want to be that. So that's where UCLA came in. I decided I am going to go to UCLA. I am going to study something other than acting. So I did that. And I started writing. I wrote a movie with a guy named Michael Bacall, who's a fantastic, very accomplished writer. But then we were just two kids at UCLA. And we wrote this movie together, Manic. And it got made with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Don Cheadle and Zooey Deschanel. And that was one of the things I was planning on playing the lead role. But then this company came in to finance it, and they wanted a star. So I gave them Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I guess. If you're going to be replaced in a movie, though, you should really be replaced with Joseph Gordon-Levitt because he's pretty awesome. But we did that movie, and it was a really, really tough experience for me. And I didn't get on with the director at all. And that was the movie that I said, well, if this guy can direct, I can direct. So it kind of a negative experience gave me the courage to go on and make my own things. And since then, I've just been making movies, trying to make a movie every 2 or 3 years. And I've been really lucky that I just keep getting to work. So
and I got to tell you, you are a director.
Thank you.
You can see that in the performances, and it's fantastic. And you direct some powerhouse actors as well. I mean,
I've been lucky to see. Cast is obviously super, super important. When you're making a film, and I've learned that on all bases, behind the camera, in front of the camera, the goal should be to get the most talented people you possibly can, and then let them do their thing. And, it'll elevate, the entire film. But yeah, I've been lucky with my cast.
I do have to ask, now as an actor and going in, that's definitely got to help with the direction, of course. I mean, now you can see it, and now writing it on top of it, it's your words. So right. It definitely has to help to wear all those hats. But what do you gravitate more towards? What would you say? Because I know with your turn in Santa Girl, you didn't write it. Patricia Harrington wrote it.
Right. And I love – what I love is working around, like, I don't like it having to be all chips in every time, you know, and when you write and direct and act and produce, raise the financing and everything, it's just so much. So I really do love to get hired to direct a movie like Santa Girl. That was, you know, I was hired for that position, right? Or like to be hired to act in a movie, like in a movie like Favor that I did a couple of years ago. I always take a vested interest in doing everything I can to help the production, you know, because I have that experience and I kind of know how to help with marketing maybe, or to, you know, do the interviews or, you know, whatever it is. But I really like not having all the responsibility. But the truth is, it is my favorite thing to have all the responsibility. I love to, you know, be able to tell a story that, you know, I want to tell in the way I want to tell it with the people I want, you know, and there's nothing more satisfying than building a team from the DP, you know, to the co-star who has one line and being like, I chose all of these people and I'm going to do everything I can to make this movie great so that we're all proud of it. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I could see that. In the fact that, you know, I think it takes a certain type of creative person to do that, and not many can do that. And I do applaud you with your movies, and the fact that you can put on all those different, you know, you can leave writing behind, then put on the director hat, and then
right,
and you're acting.
And understanding of it makes you better at all the other things. You know, I feel like to know what an actor needs makes me a better writer, and you know, I can better communicate what the actor, you know, what I want the actor to do without like just do it like me and then doing a line reading or something like that. I know I hate that, so I use those things to try to communicate better with them, and it's usually a benefit.
Well, now, like with your movies like 6 Month Rule and Cut to the Chase, where you are the lead actor, you are the star of this movie,
right?
So it kind of all falls on your character. How intense is that to have to direct other actors, yourself, and kind of bring the performance out while maintaining everything else, you know?
Yeah, you know, I love it because I really feel like when directing a movie, you're still all in it. Like you're still like, I'm behind the camera, usually mouthing the words and being like, okay, great. Do it again, but hit this. But so I feel like I'm in the middle of it anyway. And for me, coming from acting, it's not at all weird. The complication comes with other people, right? Because you want everyone else to feel like you're paying attention to what they're doing as well as just, you know, doing your own thing. You know, the last thing you need is for any actor or any crew member to be like, oh, here we go, it's the Blayne Weaver show again, blah, blah, you know. So it's splitting that focus of being able to give feedback. And for me, like, it's not difficult to be able to watch what's going on, because when you act with other people a lot, you know, you get a rhythm, and sometimes it's about just kind of massaging it within the scene. But one thing I did learn is it's very important to have the conversation of like, you know, here's the note, blah, 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 because sometimes you don't need to. Sometimes if you know how it's going to cut, you'll be like, I just won't use that bit. I'll use this bit, but this is great. But you don't always say it afterwards, right? That's the biggest problem with it. I mean, my first movie, you know, Manic I acted in, and Outside Sales, which my first movie that I directed, I had the big bad guy part in that. And it was just super fun. It was just love friends, you know.
Love the mustache, by the way.
No, you didn't. I don't believe you. But we just had a blast. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know enough about what was going to happen or what we were going to have to do for the movie to be worried about it. We just had a blast, right? And it was a great experience, and I was super confident with it. And then I moved on and did Weather Girl, and then came back to acting for 6 Month Rule. The difference was 6 Month Rule was well over $1 million budget. Outside Sales was like $80,000, right? So the amount of pressure suddenly was ginormous, and I wasn't quite expecting that. I kind of thought it would be a lot like Outside Sales, where, you know, everybody would just be excited to be there and be on board, and everybody would kind of help. And then, like, you realize when that budget goes up, the skepticism rises as well. So 6 Month Rule was a very difficult film for me because of the size of it and having to keep everybody believing in what we were doing. You know, lots of keeping plates spinning and blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of figured, okay, that's how it's going to be from now on. But then I did Cut to the Chase. And I mean, like, it couldn't have been polar opposite. It was like all these people I'd worked with before, everybody believed in the project. Everybody believed in me. Everybody was super excited to be doing it. And like, we were able to do it for a song because I did it back in my hometown. And again, Shreveport, Louisiana was all excited about doing it, supportive, and like, here, use my bar to shoot in. Want to borrow my car? Like, it was really crazy and so refreshing, and like the easiest shoot I've ever been on.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because I have a lot of filmmakers that do watch the show, aspiring and otherwise, but they're getting out there, and that's a good lesson for them to learn. Like, if you're going to shoot, like, go to people, go and talk to them, and maybe you'll find sets where you didn't know you had them before, or any type of help. And
well, I tell you, one of the things that helped me the most is Paul Osborne, who's this great writer director who I've worked with several times. He and I wrote film noir crime thriller together. There was about a $2.5 million budget, and I just come off the 6-month rule, and the money kept being promised, and then it would be like, all right, let's meet, in 2 months, and let's meet in 2 months, and it just kept going and going until it'd been like a year and a half, 2 years since I'd made a movie, and finally I'm like, all right, I'm just going to make something that I can control. So I decided to shoot it in Shreveport, Louisiana, because I lived in LA, and you don't get away with anything shooting in LA.
No, not at all. I've lived for quite a few years.
Yeah, it has its perks, but trying to make an independent film there is not one of them. Not unless it's all inside your apartment. But I went back to Louisiana, and I have done lots of professional theater there. So I made a list of all these theater actors I'd worked with. I made a list of all the locations that I had, friends to production, and then I kind of built this script for Cut to the Chase around things that I had, and it was it just really came together. I knew I wanted to write like a hard-boiled detective story from a kind of deadbeat perspective, but that was really all that I knew. And I just kept thinking of, I've got, I want to use Erin Cahill on something. I've always, Erin Cahill played a small role in 6-month rule as a girl that I dump in the beginning of the movie. And we got along so well. And I always felt like we got a very brother-sister kind of vibe going on. I could see that somewhere. So I started with that. I'm like, okay, we'll put Cahill in there. She'll be my sister. What are we going to do? But I think using your assets and not being afraid to, if you hit a wall, turn, pivot. Yeah. You can rewrite the thing on set, and if you're doing it because you have this other great location to work in there, it's worth it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with what you're saying too. Just turn and pivot, like, just work, right around it if you can. And that's a great piece of advice. Just to kind of go over that where you're talking with Erin Cahill, that was a great performance between you two as brother and sister. And one thing I really enjoyed about Cut to the Chase is I'm a big thrillers of the late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. The grittiness of it, and Cut to the Chase felt like that for me.
Yeah, me too. I love movies like that, and I love when the good guy is the least bad guy, like yep. That kind of film noirish kind of stuff, but also it's got that pulpy kind of thing from like the 80s. And one thing, I wanted this movie to just be fun, in that way where there's in every scene, there's either a chase or a fight or a love scene or, something that's like popcorn, edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? This movie is so much fun. That's what we set out to make. And I'm just really proud of it. I love watching it, which is not the case for all movies that you make. I like all movies that I've made, but a lot of them I put away and I'm just like, okay, I maybe I'll look at that again in 5 years or something like that. But I always kind of get sucked into Cut to the Chase because I think it's just so fun.
It really was. And I love the dynamic of your Max Chase's, I shouldn't say your objective. Of course, you did play Max Chase in the film. And his objective is to find his sister who's been kidnapped. But you lead it right from the beginning saying, I have to find her or I'm going back to jail. But right. Through those flashbacks, you tell this beautiful story of like, no, it's his desperation because he loves this woman, his sister, so much. And I just, you don't see that a lot. You don't see that in writing and stories like that. And I really loved how you played that off. Like, you told the story little by little in the flashbacks of their relationship.
Well, and as you probably saw in Weather Girl, I'm an only child. And I really love the sibling relationship. I think it's so interesting, especially when it's a male-female, brother-sister kind of thing, because especially with a guy like Max, who is, what I like, I wanted him to be a real ne'er-do-well. He's, never done anything right, but it's that thing where the best part of you is somebody else. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And like with the siblings, that works so well because there's no, sexual tension or anything like that. It's just like this love, like, that you have for somebody who feels like part of you. And I needed something very deep to make him step up and risk his own neck, And and Cahill plays it so well. She's like, she's great.
You both did. And I mean, you going up against Lance Henriksen, that's a big deal, especially in a dramatic fashion as you did. And, I got to give it to you, man. You really held your own against, a man who's given us some amazing performances, like that. And
he is so awesome. And such like, he's like, got this tough, gruff, exterior, obviously, but like is also like this artist, and like takes his work so incredibly seriously. Like we were shooting one day in Los Angeles, and in order to get all of our, the man scenes, which is a lot. There were a lot of things he had to do in just like one day. And he voluntarily came in the day before to read scenes and talk about the script. And that's stuff that you don't get paid for. So like, that's really special that he would do that. And we were lucky to have him. He's fantastic.
Well, yes, no, absolutely. To talk to you about your directing style, though, I got to give it to you. I've often said to people, if you see actors returning to movies with the same director, Martin Scorsese, John Ford,
right.
Stewart, that's a director that is well received and well liked by those actors. And you, of course, you have lots of returns. Returning actors in your movies. So that does say a lot about you as a director, and which is great.
I hope so. I like to think so. Like I said earlier, I learned so much of what not to do as a director by being an actor on different sets and seeing the kind of workplace that I want, And so I try to create a place where the actors feel safe to make mistakes. Like there are no mistakes. And it's like, if I don't like it, I'll tell you. So, feel free to bring your own work. And like, I keep working with these people who do that, who are bold and exciting to watch, and people that I trust, and also people that you want to encourage their career, because like there are a couple of people that I know who I love, and I'm like, I want them to be working more, and there are a couple of people who are doing really well, who once in a while will do like a small budget movie for me because, we have such a good time working together. But I feel very lucky to have the returning teams that I do.
Yeah. Well, one of them, one of the things is your aspects is your cinematography.
Yeah. Thanks.
I know on Outside Sales and Weather Girl, you had Brendan Trost. Who, all of your cinematographers are acclaimed cinematographers, and their movies look fantastic, especially yours. So Brandon Trost did your first two movies, Outside Sales and then
he got shot out of the fame cannon. I take full credit for Brendan Trost's amazing career. No, he's so good, so talented, so like chill and laid back. Like it's no surprise to me at all that he's doing as well as he is, because he's a genius as far as I'm concerned.
But to see like then you had on 6 Month Rule Dan Stolf, right?
Yeah.
And then you're working with Rob Sensko. You worked on him with Cut to the Chase and Santa Girl. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, the thing I really liked about them is their styles. Like, how much freedom did they have? Not that it wasn't freedom, but I guess more so. Were they able to bring to you their ideas of like, hey, listen, I want to try this. I want to make this look a little different, because they have very distinctive styles.
Yeah.
In their filming.
Well, I absolutely. Again, I want to hire really good people and then, give them the power to do their job as well as they can, So I encourage them to bring an idea there's lots of talking, lots of meetings over and over, lots of, looking at examples of movies that I love and blah, blah, blah. But I've been really fortunate where every DP I've worked with had a very clear, creative vision for things. Yeah. And we're able to get on the same page. Brandon Truss and I would, he would send movies to me and we would talk about that. And Dan Stoloff and I would look at art. We had all these art books that we look at. And Rob Zinska and I are just like really great friends who love comic books. So Cut to the Chase was us looking at The Killing Joke. Do you remember that? I don't know if you're a comic book guy, but
I got him.
the Joker, the opening scene with Lance, he's in the shadows and he leans in to the light and we see him for the first time. And it's stolen directly from The Killing Joke. We're going to do this and, lots of red neon. And we got really very much on the same page very early on. And it's so much fun when you have that shorthand and you're like, oh, you're going to do the thing? Yeah. Do the neon and every time there's violence, there's red neon. I love stuff like that. We have this like cool little, underscore for visually.
And I am getting the comic book soon because I want to talk about Losing Lois Lane. But before we get to that, I do want to just mention with the cinematography as well. The thing I think I really liked, so you filmed Outside Sales and Weather Girl in Los Angeles, correct?
I did.
And I like I said, I haven't seen 6 Month Rule, but Cut to the Chase, now one of my favorite movies, is they're both filmed in Shreveport. Right. And it seems from the trailer that I saw from 6 Month Rule and having seen Cut to the Chase, you kind of, the horizon opened up a little bit more. Like, whereas you were more focused on the actors in Outside Sales and Weather Girl, which is what it is, that those are character driven. These are too, but it seems like because it was in your home, basically your hometown, you open it up more to make the environment a character. Am I correct?
You mean like mostly visually?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's, a lot of times, framing to me has been incredibly tight because of budget restrictions, right? Because I don't want to show the back wall, that is not decorated properly. So I'll just get a little bit closer, right? Weather Girl, we built a apartment building in a soundstage in LA, but we couldn't go very high because, the walls ended, right? So there's always this kind of, close handheldness kind of to those movies. And when we got 6 Month Rule was a bigger movie. And the whole thing has this very, Dan Stoloff wanted it to be elegant, was the way he kept using it. Every shot is moving, lots of wides, lots of getting to see the downtown area. Like we played Shreveport for kind of Anytown USA, kind of like in a Fight Club or something like that. It's like a metropolis is what we're trying to create. And Shreveport has this architecture that goes from 50s, 70s, 90s, a big skyscraper next to like an abandoned, building. And it's really cinematic. And Dan really captured that. And Cut to the Chase, it's all seedy, right? Seedy underbelly, like this, creating this off city streets of New Orleans kind of feel, because most people don't know what Shreveport is. Yeah. It's not like that at all, by the way. It's, it's very nice, but that's not the story I wanted to tell. I wanted to feel, like a criminal den. And I feel like it comes off pretty well like that.
It does. Absolutely. And my wife's family is from Louisiana. They're down in Lafayette.
Oh, great.
So Louisiana it has overtaken my home. I'm from New Jersey, so it's like, whatever. Yeah.
We do like our Louisiana paraphernalia. I don't know if you know that or not.
And she's part Cajun, so like everything has spice to it. So
a woman after my own heart.
But it is such a lovely state, and every city, north and south, very different, but still almost the same. It's still like that. It's a state that stands out, absolutely. So, and I did like your visuals of it, and it did feel like a character in Cut to the Chase.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we did 6 Month Rule, and the whole thing was I didn't want it to be a small town Southern story. I wanted it to be a metropolitan, upper mobile mid-30s love story, right? Mm-hmm. And because Louisiana is so specific. And with that, everywhere we would go with the movie, people were like, where'd you shoot this? And like, nice. It annoyed people that they didn't know where it was, right? So this movie, I was like, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to, shoot in bayous. I'm going to shoot in, lots of bars and really do the Louisiana thing upright.
Well, I also have to tell you, I have to thank you for your contributions on the comic book fan film front with Losing Lois Lane, which is funny because, again, it's one I've watched.
Yeah, have you seen it before?
I had seen it years ago because I was such a big fan of the superhero fan films coming out, being a comic book fan.
Yeah.
That when it came to finally it come down and sit down and watch, I'm like, Blayne did this? Like, I get to talk to him. It was a lot of fun to see again, and especially with that different perspective. But it's such a fun short film, man.
I thank you. I like it was the first thing I ever directed. I had done Manic, and I was getting ready to make Outside Sales, and I wanted something to cut my teeth on to see if I could even do this. And again, very much like Outside Sales, I just got a bunch of friends together. I worked at a bar in Hollywood, and everybody that worked there was either behind the camera or in front of the camera. And basically, we used all those people and friends and made this very silly, very a lot of cursing Superman movie about Clark Kent being dumped by Lois Lane and being too depressed to save anybody. And I mean, to me, like, I look at it now and it reminds me of those, Burt Reynolds comedies where they put the gag reel at the end of the credits. I'm like, they're really having more fun than they are like making something.
It is.
But we had a great time. I think it's a little too long, but it makes me laugh at least once every time I look at it. So thank you.
It is a lot of fun, yes. And you got to talk to Taika Waititi when you ever get the chance. You sit down and you say, "Listen, I saw the Thor stuff you did where he had a roommate after he was depressed." I was like, I think you saw Losing Lois.
I think you saw Losing Lois Lane. If I can affect the canon of comic book movies in any way, I'd be happy to. So
that would be the way to do it. Absolutely. So anybody watching and listening, make sure you check out Losing Lois Lane and everything else, of course.
Wow.
But no, so I did want to talk about Santa Girl a little bit because you shot that right here in Winchester, Virginia.
Yeah, and I'm in Winchester right now. Like, I don't know if we've talked about this or not, but I'm here. It's so crazy. I was in Los Angeles. I was writing for this company, and they basically said, "Hey, we need somebody to go to this university and direct this movie, and we're not going to give you hardly any money, and not going to give you like hardly any crew, but we think you're the guy for it." And I was like really reticent, but I said, all right, well, okay. So Shenandoah University and a company called Capital Arts Entertainment, they partnered, right, to co-produce this Christmas film. And I came down here and prepped it, and I got to hire Rob Senska, who, like I said, is one of the best and like a really good friend. And I'm like, hey, I don't know how this is going to go, because it's really just us and a producer, but come on down. So I got this producer, Paul DeFranco, here that works at the university, and we made this movie, and it was the most indie thing I've ever done. We've got all these university students who are like our crew, and all these university students who are like playing the supporting roles, and we brought down Barry Bostwick, who's awesome, and Jennifer Stone, who's on a show called Wizards of Waverly Place, and Devin Werkheiser, who's on a show called Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. I didn't know any of these things because I aged out a little bit, but the students at Shenandoah University knew them all and were blown away. And we made this movie, and it was really hard, but incredibly satisfying. And the movie came out quite well, and I'm so proud that we got to have these film students have a real movie on their resume, and these acting students from the conservatory have real movies on their resume, and now it's on Netflix. And like big success, right?
Oh yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyways, I did that movie, and then I went back to LA, and then I came back last year and I shot a horror film that just got into the Dead Center Film Festival. It's got into its first film festival. So I was excited about that. And now I'm here doing a artist in residence thing. Oh,
that's awesome. That's great, and welcome to Winchester.
I think I'm here for. I might be staying next year as well. Thank you. It's great. The university has been awesome to me, and like I get to teach, and also prep. I'm going into a movie as soon as this quarantine thing is over. I'm shooting another Christmas movie, so you got to come to set.
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to see what goes on. And I was going to ask you about The Getaway is called, right? Is the film you're working on?
Yeah, it's just Getaway. But that is the movie that we made last fall. It's a horror film. It's my first like just flat out horror film. I made a short film last year, but this is the first feature. And it was basically what happened was I was supposed to do this Lifetime movie, right? Like Lifetime had approved this script, and we were going to do the same model that we did with Santa Girl, where we partner with the university, and I was going to get more funds and more team and blah, blah, blah. So I was really excited about it. And then it like fell completely apart because Lifetime Europe didn't like the movie or something. I'm not really sure what exactly happened, but it just disappeared. And I was out here and I was about to go home, and the university was like, well, can't you do anything? Like what, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess I could try to do a horror film or something. How much money can we put to it? And, you know, they pulled together like nothing, like, you know, a couple dozen $1,000 or something like that. And I took the best student actors I could find, and we made this horror film. And that was a rough shoot, but nights, you know how it goes. But man, it turned out great. And I made it with this DP named Chad McLarnon, and we're just really excited about premiering it and stuff. And it's the most indie movie I've ever made.
Well,
And,
I tell you, once things start to open back up, I mean, I'm a member of Psycho Cinema. You got to come down and show
yes, absolutely. This would have happened already if not for this craziness. We were supposed to do some kind of screening at Alamo in like January or something, but
well, it is funny to me. We're in the same town and we have to talk over.
Yeah. It's funny and sad, both of those things.
But no, listen, I had a lot of fun watching your movies. I do have to, as a huge fan of Kids in the Hall, how is it doing scenes with Dave Foley?
Okay, so Dave Foley is awesome. He's obviously incredibly funny, but he's also like super cool and laid back too, and kind of crazy, you know. And that kind of like, I remember one night, because so we're in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the nicest hotel there is this casino hotel. So we were staying at the casino hotel, and he's a big gambler. Like, you remember he used to host that poker show or something on some kind of education TV show. I don't know, education. But it was late at night. It's like 2 a.m, and I'm like, we got to go. We have a call tomorrow. We're in the elevator, and Dave Foley turns to me and he's like, you know, you're the boss. If you wanted to go back down and play poker all night, nobody could really tell us that we'd done anything wrong because you're the boss. And I'm like, Dave Foley is asking me to break the rules and go and play poker with him all night. And I was so tempted. I'm like, this is a really big deal for me, Dave. I kind of have to do well with this movie. But any other day, I would be there. But he was fantastic.
He seems like it, and he's just one of the funniest human beings to ever live, in my opinion. Like I said, big Kids in the Hall fan. So. And
I'll tell you something else too. Like like I said, former actor. I'm not real big on, you know, following the rules and being, you know, like if you have an improv or something, do it. You know, and if I like it, we'll keep it. If not, we'll do it again, right? But Dave Foley is one of the few actors in my entire career to come up to me and ask permission to improv and then give me line alternatives like that he'd already worked out. Nice. I'm like, Dave, you can say anything you want. Just make the movie better, you know? And like such a gentleman, and I'm a big fan.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, I mean, this was a lot of fun being able to sit down and talk to you. But one thing I do want to mention, two things I want to mention is you are Disney royalty.
I am.
I wasn't going to let you get away with not saying it. You know, my listeners have to hear this. You are the voice of Peter Pan.
I am the voice of Peter Pan.
That's a big deal.
It's awesome. It's like I put it up there with me getting to play Superman in that short film. Like Superman, Peter Pan. If I get some kind of James Bond thing, I'm good. I'm good. I'm the trifecta.
Max Chase.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't need James Bond. James Bond's great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, Max Chase is even better. Not really.
There's tons of people who've played James Bond.
Yeah.
Only one person has played Max Chase.
Yeah, that's true. And Peter Pan has been such a great random thing. Like I literally went into my agents. I hadn't gotten an audition in, weeks or something. And I went in and I'm like, hey, I'm just reminding you that I'm alive and I haven't had any auditions. And she's like, here, go down the hall and audition for this voiceover. And I'm like, okay. And I went up, and they were auditioning for Peter Pan 2, which was Return to Neverland. And they were looking for voice matches, right? For adults to do the Cubby voice. Cubby was, one of the few Lost Boy characters in the original movie that was done by a grown-up. And he had like this goofy voice, he'd go, hey, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I went in and I started reading it, and I don't really do voices, and I felt immediately stupid. And I'm like, I can't do this. No thanks. Have you cast Peter though yet? Like, I can do a kid's voice. I love that cartoon, And they're like, no, it's still open. And I auditioned for it, and months went by, months and months. And then I got this call from my agency, but it was from voiceover department, who don't know who the hell I am because I wasn't repped there. I was just sent down the hall, right? And he's like, are you Blayne Weaver? Do we rep you? Did you audition for Peter Pan? Because we've been looking for you, and like Disney wants to see you today. And I got it. And it's been this great recurring job. I did the cartoon, the movie, and I've done tons of episodes of cartoons and rides and events at Disney World. And like, they're using, I just got a call yesterday, they're using my voice for some kind of parade down Main Street or something. It's awesome. It's the best. And, you just get up and you do your Peter Pan voice and go home.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And again, Disney royalty. I mean, Peter Pan he's up there. He's the Mecca.
He's the best to me. Everybody's got their favorite, but I'm very happy to be Peter Pan. Much better than any prince. Come on.
Of course. You're not Prince. You lead the show.
That's right. That's right.
I got to tell you, Blayne, this was a lot of fun being able to sit down and talk to you. Hopefully, now I know you're in town, maybe we can get you in studio eventually.
I would love that.
And, I can't wait to see Getaway. I'm going to be looking for that. And also, happy birthday. You just had a birthday recently.
I did. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's been birthday week here I still have my my Batman birthday designs. My fiance takes birthday week very seriously, so she had Batman set up all over the place. This is my Batman thing that was on the cake.
That's amazing. That is awesome.
We don't miss opportunities to celebrate things around here.
No, that's fantastic. I hope you're enjoying. I appreciate you coming on, but I hope you're enjoying Winchester, Virginia. And
I am. I actually, before I go, I wanted to remind that we're doing this thing where we partnered with the Alamo Draft House here in Winchester to help them out right now, where we're renting Cut to the Chase on Vimeo, and we're splitting the profits with Alamo to kind of help them right now. And we're doing this big Q&A tonight. I don't know how live this is, but you should watch. But we're doing this Q&A with the entire cast and crew tonight, except for Lance, who's too busy for us. But everybody else is going to be there at 7:30 tonight on the Alamo Draft House website thing.
Yes, I am absolutely excited. That's how I got into it. Andy had sent me Cut to the Chase, and I rented it, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And probably might give it a rewatch again before the Q&A, just to write down more questions for you.
Awesome. Awesome.
I had a great time with it. I had a great time just going back and kind of researching your career. And like I said, I'm a fan now. And I just really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. So everybody, I'm going to try and get this out today so that way people will be able to at least get the audio out as soon as possible. But I will put it up on all my social media. Go check out the Q&A tonight. Go check out Cut to the Chase and all of Blayne's movies. They are available now. Cut to the Chase on Prime, correct?
Yeah. Yes. It's a Prime. It's also on Vimeo. You can rent it pretty much everywhere, but I think Prime is the best place probably.
Yeah. That's that seems to be where everybody seems to be going right now.
Exactly.
It's Prime. Exactly. But thank you again so much.
Dude, thank you. This has been awesome.
And hopefully we get to see each other actually in real life people.
Absolutely. Post quarantine beers, and I'll send you Getaway, and you can take a look, and we can talk about it.
Oh, I'd absolutely love that. I'm a big horror guy, so
I gathered.
And a Batman guy, but he's over there.
Okay, fair enough.
But we will talk that next time. And thank you again. And I really appreciate it.
Hey, man, I had a blast, and I'll see you at the Q&A thing, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Take care, buddy.
Awesome. Bye-bye now.